Hey, it's Devlin with Relaxation Station Hypnosis. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. So, time for a little story. Today's going to be a ghost story. And this one was something that happened to me back in 2004, 2005, somewhere in there, when my youngest son was about two and a half. So, we were having some issues with him. He was kind of watching things kind of fly around the room. You could see him. He'd get really distracted, and he's like looking around, and then he'd go hide under a table. He'd hide under my legs. He would just do any number of things just to get away from whatever it was. So it got to the point where he would be watching whatever it was fly around, and then he would smack me or he would bite me. It really was crazy. So I told him one time, I said, I said, sometimes kids can see things that parents cannot. And so he was kind of confused for a second, and then he was like, no. And I said, no. And he said, no. I said, you can't talk about it? And he said, no. I said, okay. I said, I just need you to understand that you don't have to follow their direction. If they're telling you that you have to do something, you do not. If they're asking you to do something, you do not need to do it. So anyway, there was one night when he was sitting on the bed and he was watching something fly around, and then he was going to smack me. And I said, Jackson, don't. And so he just stopped and he looked up into the ceiling, which my ceilings were vaulted, so they were super tall. And he pointed up to the corner, and I said, what's the matter? And he said, there's a lady. I said, there's a lady? And he said, she's a brown lady with a rope around her neck. I said, okay, all right, well, let's see. He said, her name is Mo. I said, her name is Mo. And he said, yes. And I said, okay, Jack, let's ask Mo just to go back home. Let's ask her to go home. And so then we will get to bed. So he got settled down, and we didn't hear anything more from Mo that night. But I did set up a recorder in my bedroom because he would sleep with me. So I put him to bed. We put a recorder in my bedroom, and we hit record. Now, he was asleep. My middle child, my daughter, was not home. It was my big son and me. And so my big son was 13 at the time. So we set the recorder up, and it was just this little Sony, about the size of a lipstick tube, MP3 player. There, finally. But it had a super sensitive recorder, so it was really great. So I recorded it, just put it in there while he was sleeping and just had it on record. And then I came back into the living room and was just saying, go with God, whatever it is that's in here. This is a house of goodness, and we love God and we love Jesus. And, just go back to the light. Go into the light. Go into the light. And so, just a little bit of, meditation and prayer on that. So anyway, so we went in there a little bit later, and we got the recorder out because my big son and I were really curious to see if anything was captured. Okay. So he listened to it, and, we're smashing the earphones into our head. And my big son was like, he stopped it and he rewound it, and he stopped it and rewound it. And he was like, you need to listen at marker 537. And I said, okay. And so I took the headphones from him, and I hear myself in the background saying, go with God, go to the light, go with God, And I hear in this really tinny, bizarre voice, she told me to go with God. Okay. Well, there was no one in there saying that. We didn't have any cordless phones. There were no baby monitors on. There was nothing. There was literally just the recorder and me and my son and my little son in bed. There was no way it could have picked up that feedback from anywhere. So I made a copy of it. I had it on the MP3 player, and I had it on the computer. I had like 4 or 5 copies at one point in time, and I am kidding you not. every single one of those recordings have been lost or destroyed. One was stolen from a CD case that I had at work. 2 computers crashed and I deleted it from the MP3 player because I already had all these other copies. So anyway, I know it happened. My big son knows it happened. And my little son, who was tormented by these things, absolutely knew that it happened. So needless to say, we had the house kind of cleansed after that, and everything was okay for a little bit. So that's the ghost story for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And have you had any hauntings? Have you had any experiences? Let me know. I'd love to hear them. Other than that, you guys have a great night. I hope to hear from you soon.